A regulated nervous system is a nervous system that trusts that I can come back to calm. Hey, and welcome to my channel. I'm Mary, and this is The Inner Knowing, a channel where we realistically talk about what it's like to be a deep feeler, have intuitive inner knowings, and be sensitive in a world that's not always so kind. There's a lot of talk out there about nervous system regulation, and I think there's a lot of misinformation or a lot of misunderstanding around what it actually is. And I've actually gone through a lot of misunderstanding it myself because I used to believe that if I was able to be calm going into any situation, that meant that I had a regulated nervous system until I had a traumatic event happen and I would get stuck in a dysregulated state, and then I would shame and guilt myself, and then my nervous system would get more dysregulated, and then I couldn't come down. And it was like this constant cycle of like every time I get dysregulated, I'd shame myself for it because I felt guilty because I wasn't calm all the time, which meant I wasn't working hard enough. And it turned into this like inner toxic view of myself and my dedication to healing my nervous system, which was very unhealthy and didn't get me very far. Over the years, I've learned that my nervous system is regulated not when I don't have a response or when I'm calm all the time. It's regulated when I trust that no matter what happens, I can get my nervous system back to a state of calm. I trust myself to do that. And like that trust, that like you can cognitively trust yourself, but getting it into your actual nervous system takes constant repetition of little moments where you get triggered and you allow the full rise and fall of your nervous system to happen, trusting that the rise and the fall are something that you can handle. So I used to be afraid of the rise of my nervous system. So this is that moment after something sets my nervous system off, right? So let's say something like this morning where I went to go to work and I was already running late for work and my car wouldn't unlock. Changed the key fob. That wasn't the problem. Turns out my car battery was dead. So that triggered me because I'm worried about the cost of buying a new car battery. I'm worried about the fact that I'm already late to work and that my boss is going to be mad at me. I'm worried about the fact that I'm being a burden to my best friend because now she has to help me jump my car. And like this sets off my anxiety. I used to be afraid of the anxiety itself, of the discomfort of that, and I still have that fear there, but it's in that moment of, oh my God, the anxiety is coming. And then it's like, I shouldn't be feeling this. Why am I feeling this? I don't want to feel this. That's the resistance to the anxiety. So I have to allow the anxiety to rise for the anxiety to come down, right? It doesn't have to take over, but I have to let it flow through because my nervous system has to, it's movement. It's not stagnant. So it comes in waves. So this whole thing happens and my brain is just starting to go, and then I feel myself starting to resist feeling the anxiety. And instead of resisting the resistance, I say, okay, I am starting to feel anxious and I don't want to feel anxious. I don't want to deal with this. I'm pissed off that this is happening. And I'm letting my brain just feel all of this, get it all out. And the second I'm like, I don't want to feel anxious, that takes a layer off of the anxiety and it lets the anxiety kind of come up as it needs to. I'm uncomfortable, I'm still anxious, my body's reacting to the anxiety. But as I'm moving through the motions of solving the problem, cognitively I'm reminding myself, hey, you've got this. Hey, you've been here before. You know how to do this. Now, telling myself in my brain does not tell my body, which is the part that's having the reaction, right? Like my brain set off the reaction, but now my body is tense. I'm sweating. There's that discomfort. There's that bubbly anxiety feeling in your chest. So now I have to connect my brain to my body. Sometimes I can't get my brain to calm down first. It has to start with my body. But I let the anxiety come up as it does. And as the anxiety is happening, I am still doing what I can in the moment to actively solve the problem, because doing this shows me that I can do something about it. Once I get the car jumped and I'm on my way to work, I've already called my boss. She knows I'm going to be late. This is my time to actively bring my brain and my body back together, so I can do somatic things that help my brain, which knows, okay, I can trust myself to fix this. I don't have to feel this much anxiety about this. I can just bring it down 5%. So I start doing somatic things. I start humming. I turn on, when I'm really struggling with my anxiety, humming and singing helps activate the vagus nerve in your throat. So I turn on Billie Eilish. I like where she sits in my voice, and I sing full in my car, just jam into Billie Eilish down the road. And that helps calm my body down. And now my brain and my body are talking again. And so now I can have this conversation with my body in the chat. And I'm saying, okay, we got a little triggered this morning, but look, I worked through the problem, and yes, I'm going to have to pay more money than I want to. And yes, this shit fucking sucks. And I'm not going to deny that it does, because well, that's just denying the reality of what's going on. But I also had people who love me, who came to help me. I had a best friend who helped me jump my car. My dad is bringing me a new battery to work. These are good things that are happening, and they're helping solve the problem. And so now my body is in a more relaxed state, and I am able to use my thoughts to help my body relax even further, because singing helped me get rid of some of the tension, right? Just like 5% took that off. But now my body's like, oh, well, we moved through that. And because I actively kept moving through it, and I kept bringing moments of safety, just little tiny incremental, oh, okay, I can feel my feet on the ground. Oh, okay, my hand is rubbing on my thigh. I'm humming in my car. These are things that I do when I feel safe, even if I'm not actively feeling that way. It helps me feel just a little bit more safe, just a little bit. And then everything kind of comes back down. And this is how repeating this over and over and over again in multiple points throughout your day helps retrain your nervous system. Oh, well, when I get activated, I can come back down. Another part to nervous system regulation is moving your baseline, because a lot of times when we have a lot of trauma built up, or we have a lot of things that very easily trigger us, our bandwidth is like this. Everything triggers us, and it's a lot harder to keep coming down to baseline. When it's like you get to your baseline, you spike back up again, and it's just exhausting. So there are lifestyle things that I do that help like broaden my bandwidth. And every day my bandwidth is different. I never wake up with the same bandwidth 2 days in a row. Yesterday's bandwidth was a lot bigger than today's bandwidth was. And maybe yesterday I wouldn't have been as set off as I was this morning, but I don't have control necessarily over the bandwidth that I woke up with this morning. I do everything in my power, but I have to work with that bandwidth. So I'm constantly working to lower my baseline. And this is things like taking care of my health, forming friendships and connections. Eating for my blood sugar is like the biggest game changer for me. Making sure that I do my best to be in environments that feel safe and happy to me, and not judging myself when I have no power over what I'm dealing with, because I tend to blame myself for situations that I end up in, and sometimes it is my fault. It is my responsibility, but it's actively not allowing myself to guilt and shame, because that just makes my bandwidth so much smaller. So nervous system regulation is not just deep breathing and being calm all the time. It's I can get mad, I can get anxious, I can be super happy and super excited, because excitement and anxiety in the nervous system feel the same. And I can bring myself back down to a state of calm without expecting it to be perfect. And it's a constant practice, and I'm still learning, and I probably will always be learning, because there are always new things being added that trigger me in different ways. Anytime you go through trauma, you get new triggers, and it's almost like starting over again. And sometimes I have to walk away from it completely. But I'm always working to work with the bandwidth that I have and bring that baseline down. I'm working to make my container to handle life bigger, not making my life smaller to handle what my nervous system has for the day. And some days I do have to make it smaller, right? Like there are days where I wake up and my bandwidth is like maybe a half an inch. And it's like that day I might need to take a minute and choose not to do something because I don't have the bandwidth for it. And that's me building trust with my nervous system of I'm not going to push you outside of your bounds if I can help it. And when we do come outside of our bounds, I will do everything I can to bring you back to a place where you feel okay or feel better than you did. I used to get really down on myself when like I would be like super anxious at night and I would struggle to sleep, and then I'd be like, "Oh no, I'm not sleeping well and that's going to make me more anxious tomorrow," and then the anxiety is already going and then it's harder for me to go back to sleep. And what I've come to find helps is being like, "Well, that was a shitty night of sleep and kind of sucks, but we're going to do our best to deal with it and that's it. And I'm just going to sit here and let myself feel anxious, do what I can to bring it down as much as I can." And a lot of times it goes away after that because I'm not fighting it. Because now my body trusts that I can come back to a state of calm, that it's safe enough to do that. It's about that constant repetition, that constant trust in yourself to find a way to bring safety back into your world. If this is something that interests you or you are into self awareness, self development, woo woo shit, or anything in between, this is the channel for you. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.